Hello and welcome back to COVID-19 updates. In today's video I'm going to be talking about students scared and confused as halls lock down. So students have spoken of their worry and confusion at being locked down in their university halls in a situation described by unions as shambolic. Up to 1,700 students at Manchester Metropolitan University and hundreds of other institutions, including Edinburgh and Glasgow, are self-isolating following COVID-19 outbreaks. In Manchester, students are being prevented from leaving by security. Universities UK said the well-being of students was the first priority. Robert Halfon, the Conservative chairman of the Education Select Committee, said 3,000 students were in lockdown at universities from Dundee to Exeter. He called for the government and its scientific advisers to reassure students and families by setting out the policy for England at Christmas, which would be a huge anguish. Let me say that again. He called for the government and its scientific advisers to reassure students and families by setting out the policy for England, and warned having students in lockdown at Christmas would cause huge anguish. Mr. Halfon said universities should also consider discounts to students who are not being taught face-to-face. Manchester Met said it introduced a 14-day self-isolation period at its accommodation at Burley and Cambridge Halls after 127 students tested positive for the virus. Some students there said they were getting ready to go out on a Friday night when they looked outside to see security guards and police who told them they could not leave. A first year called Joe Burns said, We've had no warning, support or advice from the university about how we get food and etc. And instead we've been completely in the dark and practically locked up against our will. Megan Tingley said she was not contacted by the university after the lockdown before police turned up outside her Burley Vine accommodation. It was quite scary and confusing, she said. No one really told us much, and then the police turned up as well with security outside. Another student, Ellie Jackson, told the BBC News she had read about the hall's lockdown in the local newspaper before receiving an email about it, and stressed the need for more guidance from the university. For Ellie, it is the second period of self-isolation she and her 5 housemates have had to undertake. My course is all online. I haven't been into university, she said. I could have done this at home. I don't think it's worth the money at the moment. In a statement, Manchester Met said it had communicated with students as soon as we could, but it was not possible to give significant advance notice due to the requirement to implement the isolation almost immediately. The communications we sent included details of how to access food and other provisions, and we've been working with other partners, including local supermarkets, throughout the day to provide additional support, the statement said. Our security teams will increase patrols to support the lockdown, and we will take disciplinary action against any students found to have breached requirements. Meanwhile, students across all of Scotland have been told not to go to pubs, parties or restaurants over the weekend, and Universities Scotland has said students will socialise with anyone outside of their household, risk losing their place at university. Hundreds of students are isolating at Glasgow University because of 2 coronavirus clusters. The university said it would offer a 4-week rent rebate to all students in university residences in recognition of the difficult circumstances under which they are living. It said that those students would all be given £50 each to spend on food, and it would invite local mobile food outlets to come to residences. Rhys Chamberlain, an international student at the University of Edinburgh, said his entire block at Holland House was locked down after a student tested positive. The situation is dire, he said. I already self-isolated when I arrived here, and then it was so difficult getting basic supplies. He said there has been an exodus of students during the night on Friday, with more than 50 leaving the building. A spokesperson for the university said it was not asking for the whole halls of student accommodation to self-isolate, but there were currently a small number of positive cases, and the university was providing care and support to those self-isolating. University and College Union General Secretary Joe Grady described the lockdown at Manchester Met as the latest catastrophe in a week, where wholly predictable and predicted COVID outbreaks have caused havoc. There was no point encouraging students to come to universities to self-isolate for a fortnight, she added. And the National Union of Students, the NUS, said students should be able to return to their families because being trapped in university accommodation would only add to their anxiety at an already difficult time. It called for universities to support students with food deliveries and provide access to mental health services. We must remember this is happening because the government and universities told students to return to campus, and this symbolic situation now demands flexibility, the union said. Students must be able to leave rental contracts, accessing online learning, or defer, and do what it takes to prioritise their safety, the statement added. The Department of Education said the government was working closely with universities in England to ensure they were prepared for the return of students. A spokesman said, students should follow the latest health advice, just like the wider public, which means that they should stay at university in the event that they have symptoms. Have to isolate. There are additional restrictions imposed locally, or there is an outbreak on campus or in their accommodation. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said students were not to blame for coronavirus outbreaks, but backed universities taking disciplinary action as a last resort against those who broke the rules. Universities UK, which represents 139 institutions, said the health and well-being of students, staff and local communities was the first priority for universities, who would continue to follow government guidance. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope it's been informative. If so, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and leave any questions you may have in the comments. Once again, thank you and goodbye.